Welcome to Conversations from St. Norbert College, a program that invites you into discussions taking place in your community on today's local and global issues. Now, your host for Conversations from St. Norbert College, the Dean and Academic Vice President of the college, Michael Marsden.
Good evening. My name is Michael Marsden, and I'm your host for this edition of Conversations from St. Norbert College. Our special guests this evening are international visiting scholars from Peru. They are Jose de Pierola and his wife Adit del Aguila. Jose and Adit are visiting St. Norbert College as part of an international visiting scholars program which is sponsored by St. Norbert College and the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. The Visiting Scholars Program was formed to bring highly qualified professionals from other countries to lecture at St. Norbert College and at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. The overall objective of this program is to improve international understanding by providing opportunities to learn from visiting scholars and for them to learn from us. Our topic this evening, our topics actually plural, are the challenges facing Peru in terms of water uses and natural and imported medicines. Jose is an agricultural engineer and Adit is a pharmacist. Jose's areas of expertise are water uses in agriculture and in mining in Peru and other areas, and hydraulic experiences in pre-Inca and Inca cultures. Adit's interests include natural medicine prescriptions in the Andes, medicinal plants of Peru, and procedures for the sanitary cataloging of imported medicines in Peru. Jose and Adit, welcome to our program. We're really pleased to have you with us today and to share your... I know that you've had almost 2 weeks now in this area in northeast Wisconsin, and
Right.
how has your experience been so far? You know?
¿Cómo ha sido tu experiencia en estas 2 semanas en el tiempo que hemos estado acá en San Norbert y en la Universidad de Wisconsin?
Bueno, mi experiencia ha sido muy grata, muy fascinante de ver la tecnología, los avances, las personas, el ambiente, muy interesante para nosotros. Sí.
Jose?
I need to translate
Sure.
like some words. Adit has mentioned that the days that we are here now were very interesting and helpful to us because we have seen that this not only the technological aspects and the education are very important, but also the relationship with the people and the mind that the people had about the future. And it's very important for the young people also and for the new time that's coming now.
Right. Now, you received the keys to the city of Green Bay from Mayor Schmidt, I think, maybe a week and a half ago or so, a week ago, and you're about ready to receive the keys, I think, from Mayor Walsh from the city of De Pere and so on. So I hope the hospitality has been what the Norbentines would call radical hospitality.
Right.
I hope it's been that.
Right.
So.
We are the hospitality is we feel as very good in relation to that. We have the opportunity to stay in a council also to receive this plaque.
Yes.
Plaquette, right? This is for us. We don't know expected that situation, but it was
nice.
very important
That is
for
nice.
us.
Well, your visit also coincided with the signing or the re-signing of a 5-year
Right.
agreement.
Right.
We had a 5-year agreement between St. Norbert College and the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, and you were present, I think, when we re-signed the new agreement.
Right.
President Kunkel and Acting Chancellor Ward very recently, which I think is a very major step forward.
Yeah,
Good.
that means that the program is very important also for the university and for St. Norbert.
Yes.
That means that the last 5 years were important, and it is a new opportunity to increase this experience, this challenge, in order to take this contact with another people from another countries, for another cultures, as you mentioned. So not only technology, but also relationship and knowledge about the experience that the other people has now.
Yes.
In this time where the globalization is very important to our country also, and the challenge that we have in the next years not only in the universities but also in our works, are related to that new conditions.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Now, if I can ask Jose a follow-up question, I wanted to just ask you. You've been involved in water issues, particularly agricultural and in mining, and so
Right.
on. And I gather from something that I've read that you're somewhat involved in the controversial joint development in South Peru.
Right.
Now, could you tell us something about that project and why it's controversial?
Yes. As I mentioned in the lectures that I gave in
To
the
the various
university,
classes. Yeah.
yes, in Peru we have not so much water in the coastal area, in the west side of our country, because Peru faces to the Pacific Ocean in this side, and on the other side from Peru comes the jungle or the rainforest from Amazonas, where we have a lot of water. So in the middle of these two regions, we have the Andes that acts like kind of a barrier against the movement of the water. So, and then in the south of Peru, the rainfall is very, very low, and we are working there because of the mineral resources. So we are in the near from Atacama Desert. This is located in the north of Chile, and then the amount of water that we have, it's not enough for all of the activities.
Okay.
And then we need to deal with the agricultural uses too, in order to share the water in a best way, in order to obtain for each cubic meter for water more financial resources for our development, not only for the mining activities, but also for the agriculture and for the other activities. So this is a challenge that we need
That's
to
the
solve.
controversy as to who gets the
The
water
controversy.
and how much.
Okay.
Do they pipe it in from the north and the west?
No, the resources in the north are more. We have more water in the north of Peru than in the south, and in the west more than in the west.
Okay.
So, but there are no interchange of water. It's not easy.
Have to use the water that's there.
Yes, yes. We need to use the water that we have there.
Okay.
We have it in there from Titicaca Lake. It's in the east from our operation, but it's 100, 200 kilometers far from our operations, and the difference of altitude is very high. So it's not easy to take water, pumping this water to that place, because the costs are very high too.
Okay. So
Right.
you have to make do with what you have at that
Yes.
point.
So we use normally surface water and groundwater.
Okay.
Because of the geological formations, hydrogeological formations are very interesting there. We have very good aquifers, but recharge process comes only 3 or 4 months every year. So we need to deal with the equilibrium between the water that comes and the water that we take out.
That you take out
Right.
at that point. Now, I know you're also involved in water usage in mining.
Right.
And I know that certainly any place I've ever lived, whether it's in Kentucky, whether it's lived in northern Michigan, mining and water seem to be always a problem in terms of pollution.
Right.
Is there any such thing in your experience as an engineer? Is there any such thing as water that's safe with a mining operation? Is there anything that can be done to really ensure the safety of the water?
Yes. Part of our investment in our operation is related to the environmental terms. We made a very important investment in the treatment of the waters that we use it, and then we waste as a tailing after our mining process. So we have now a very interesting work in the coastal of Peru. We have there also a big reservoir where the tailings are going in, and we deal with the water in order to maintain in the coastal area some wet lands related with the operations.
So the water is cleansed and put back in the wetlands?
Yes.
I see.
Right,
Okay.
right. And it costed more or less for $500 million in last 10, 20, 12 years about. So it was an agreement with the government in Peru.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That does. I was wondering about that when I was reading through your resume and your heavy involvement in mining.
Yeah.
And certainly there are a lot of controversial mining operations both in Kentucky and the Upper Peninsula with regard to the water tables and how that's going to affect the basic aquifer all over the area.
Yeah, and the other thing that's very important in Peru, there are a ministry related to the mining activities, and they have a monitoring program also in relation to our and the operation of the other mines. And it becomes very well in the last 5 years, and we are improving every time and every moment. Our operation, our monitoring and control the water quantity and water quality too.
Thank you. That's good clarification. Thank you. Adit, I wanted to ask you if I could, and I need a little help here, I think, but you have a strong interest in medicinal plants in Peru, and I assume therefore the natural medicines that come from those plants. And I'm sort of wondering what led you to that area of study, and what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish by that?
En relación al uso de las plantas medicinales en Perú, ¿cuál es la situación actual y cuál sería el objetivo de usar las plantas medicinales de aquí hacia el futuro?
Está bien proyectado el uso de las plantas medicinales en nuestro país. Siempre se ha usado las plantas medicinales en infusiones, en emplastos, para poder aliviar las enfermedades, ¿no? En el futuro, actualmente ya se está industrializando algunas plantas. Por ejemplo, tenemos la coca, ¿no? Las hojas de la coca que se usa como filtrantes. Hay una empresa nacional de la coca que trata todo lo referente a la industrialización de la coca, los trabajos que se hacen con ella, y es del gobierno. Actualmente en los supermercados ya se venden envases con diferentes medicinas, plantas medicinales, con diferentes, o sea, los venden libremente. La venta es libre para todas las personas que deseen emplear y tengan algún conocimiento. Como les digo, en el Perú el 80% ha tomado un mate, una infusión de alguna hierba, sea para la gripe, sea para el dolor de estómago o alguna inflamación, infección en plastos, ¿no?
Okay.
Following part of that, but I need a little help.
Right. Adit mentioned that in Peru the medicinal plants are coming from the ancient cultures before the Incas. So
before the Incas.
Before the Incas, right. So in Peru we have a lot of different species. So about 25,000 species of plants.
25,000.
But from that,
only
5% can be used in the medicine or in nursery, right? And then she mentioned that in the last time, some of these plants are coming to be exported and coming to industrialized for the use in the regular medicine. But normally the people in Peru uses this kind of plants to deal with some illness. Not so complicated, but in general they use that. So as infusion, for instance, and I did mention also the coca leaves. That's very common in the case of the altitude sickness.
Is it consumed?
They used to drink 1 or 2 cups of infusion from coca leaves, and it's very good for the problem that you have when you go up to the uplands.
I see.
Because of the lack of oxygen. Right. This is one case. There's another plant which names uña de gato that is very used in the prevention of cancer, for instance. It's a very good plant for this case of illness. And there are another ones.
Perdón. La maca.
Maca also, it's a very common plant that we can find in the upperlands. This is special for the men when we have so many years.
Okay. Very interesting.
Right.
Now, Adit, do you prescribe, do you actually dispense these medicines as a pharmacist, the natural medicines?
No, en mi país no prescribimos, solamente lo hacen los médicos, tampoco las enfermeras. Veo que acá sí están permitidas las enfermeras prescribir. No, nosotros como farmacéuticos podemos orientar, explicar, pero no podemos prescribir, no es legal.
Okay,
Yes.
so
The pharmacists are not permitted to prescribe this kind of medicines, and the other ones, the conventional, also not.
well, of course not.
Only the doctors, the medicals, and but they can suggest to the people to use them.
But you can't prescribe it.
Yeah, that is the idea in general. And these kind of plants are deal also for another kind of people, which names shaman. This is people that cure this kind of illness, but not in the cities, in the
More in the
rural
rural areas.
Yes, more
But
in
they
rural.
know the medicines then.
Yes, they know.
The herbal medicines that are found.
And they combine also some kind of medicines for to increase the effectivity of one of these plants in general. Right.
So basically, I understand, of course, you can't prescribe them, but you can recommend and suggest and
Yes.
get people
Yes.
into more natural medicines. Just want to remind our viewers that you're watching Conversations from St. Norbert College, and our special guests this evening are visiting scholars from Peru, Jose de Pierola and his wife, Adit del Aguila. Jose and Adit are very graciously spending time with us, both here at the St. Norbert College and at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. Again, we're very pleased to have you. And I wanted to ask you a little bit, too, about imported medicines, because another one of your areas of concern, I think, is the safety of imported medicines, as a pharmacist and as a person who studies medicine. But what are the threats in Peru from imported medicines?
En el caso de las medicinas importadas en Perú, ¿cuál es el procedimiento? ¿Cuál es la situación actual? Y bueno, ¿cómo estás tú envuelta en el caso de tu trabajo con la importación de medicinas para la prescripción?
Ok. Debo decir que en estos momentos la ley de salud ha cambiado, se ha aprobado una nueva ley de salud que tiene que ver mucho con el asunto de las importaciones de las medicinas. Anteriormente, o sea, normalmente nosotros adquiríamos las medicinas, las importábamos y teníamos que adecuarlas a las bases legales de mi país. O sea, presentar toda una documentación, un expediente de la medicina, regulándolas a las leyes, a nuestros parámetros, para que se pueda obtener un registro sanitario. Todas las medicinas, sean del país o sean importadas, necesitan un registro sanitario, tener un control, estar bajo ciertos parámetros, ciertas medidas, ¿no? Yo en mi trabajo realizo ese proceso, ¿no? Hacer la importación y luego usando todo el expediente de la medicina, adecuarlo a las leyes del país. Sí.
Yeah, Adit spoke about the process that we have in Peru for the importation of medicines. Mm-hmm. So we have a law in Peru that deal with the standards that the imported medicine should to
reach those standards,
in order to stay in accord with our national regulation. So it's very important because it is not a free importation. No. Nobody can to import a medicine and use that
just as they couldn't in the United States.
So, right. Yeah. Then And Adit also works in with this kind of a problem of terms because she works in a firma that import medicine for infertility, human fertility, and they need to deal with the government offices in order to obtain the permission for the importation and for the distribution too. This is common in Peru, and because of the globalization, now the standards are quite similar, not the same, but quite similar, and it comes regularly to in a new standards like you know, European Union, for instance.
Yes.
Some medicines in Peru are imported from U.S., also from Switzerland, for instance. Right.
Interesting. Just to switch the topic a little bit, as an engineer, you know, they're projecting in this country a shortage of engineers within a short period of time. Is the same true in Peru? Are you projecting a shortage of engineers in the future, or are students studying engineering at greater numbers in Peru than they are here?
In general, in Peru, engineering was a very good field because we have so many projects to do, and we expect to increase our infrastructure in the next 10, 20 years. Then a lot of people, young people, wants to go in this direction as an engineer. So here you have another kind of engineering. You are trying to upgrade some of the infrastructure that you have.
Yes.
So we need
so you need more engineers.
Yes. Then we need.
Are you training enough engineers though?
Yes.
In the pipeline.
Yes. I was a teacher in the university.
Yes, I remember. I saw that on
just 20 years in the main engineering university in Peru, in the field of hydraulics engineering. So in hydraulics engineering, we have enough or more engineers that we need, probably. And in the last 5-6 years, we have more universities and more faculties in the field of engineering. So I have also 10 engineers that working with me
directly
in my office, in my area in Southern Peru Copper Corporation.
Do you have the field of environmental engineering in Peru?
Yes.
Do you have that subspecialty?
Yes.
Okay.
We have not only in 1, 2, or 3 universities have this special field of environmental engineering, right? And some universities use normally to join civil engineering and environmental engineering, but we have these two fields separately. Normally, the people that is in the field of agriculture engineering or civil engineering, at the end they become with some preparation also in environment.
And that's how it started here,
Right.
more in civil, and then switched into environmental.
Right.
Right. Interesting. Same pattern. I wanted to ask both of you, because you had a chance now over the last couple of weeks to visit with students, both at UWGB and also at St. Norbert College, and I'm interested in your responses to what do you think of our students, and particularly interested in their global awareness. And the part of the purpose of this program is to raise the global awareness on both campuses.
Right.
So do you sense that students have a better global awareness than you thought, or less of a global awareness?
Right. En la visita que hemos tenido con los estudiantes de la universidad, del St. Norbert College y del colegio, hemos notado que los estudiantes están inmersos en la globalización, conocen del Perú, saben de afuera, o vemos que hay una falta de conocimiento de esto. Y ¿cuál es tu percepción?
Bueno, sí, yo he visto que tenían interés, han hecho muchas preguntas, las cuales hemos absuelto. Sí, he visto una cierta inclinación a conocer, ¿no? Y algunos que tenían ideas acerca de América Latina, ¿no? Nos preguntaron sobre la política de Venezuela, ¿no? De Hugo Chávez. Entonces, yo pienso que sí tienen por lo menos una idea de lo que es América Latina y el Perú, ¿no? Ahora.
Yeah. She mentioned that during the experience that we had in the last week or 10 days, more or less, in not only in St. Norbert, also in the University of Wisconsin, and also in high schools.
Oh, you also visit
Right,
high schools.
right.
That's right. Yes.
There are some ideas in relation to Latin America and also about Peru. But probably the young people is looking for many things, and we invited them to visit this our country and Latin America in order to see what's happening.
To get a better idea.
Right. And also they were motivated about the political aspects of Latin America and Venezuela with Chavez, and Peru or Argentina, and also what the Latin Americans expect about the new government in U.S.
Yes, right.
It's very important.
Oh, very important.
Right.
And there's some healing to go on there, I think,
Yes.
between our countries. Yeah,
Yes,
so.
I want to put some points more in relation to that. In relation to your question, in general, the students they feel that the time is changing. They have an idea that we don't have a good idea about the relationship between U.S. and Latin America in general, but the time has changed. So, and in general, we expect so much and a better, more contact with U.S. because in the last 10 or 20 years, the influence from Japan or from Europe to Latin America
was strong.
And then the contact with U.S. is not so big in 20 years ago, right? And the other things related to the economical situation that comes in the next years. As we know, there are some financial problems in all of the world, and our country will be also involved with the same problem.
I'm sure.
They were also interested about this situation, what will happen in Peru or Latin America in the next years.
And how we'll be able to work together.
Yeah, right.
That's good.
Right.
I'd like to thank our very special guest this evening, Jose de Pierola and his wife, Adit del Aguila, for sharing their expertise with us. So please join us for future programs as we continue our exploration of the world of ideas. And until then, I'm Michael Marsden for Conversations from St. Norbert College.